I wanted to talk with you today about the work history report. Social Security will send you this report at the initial and reconsideration level, and even at the level if you go the distance to the third stage going before a judge. These forms pretty much are straightforward. They just want to know what you've done for the last 15 years. They only go back 15 years because they just make the assumption that any work that's more than 15 years would have changed so much by now that it wouldn't necessarily be the same job or done the same way with technology and different things. So they do give that benefit to people. In actuality, a lot of jobs with technology probably changes a lot faster than that, and they probably should change that to about every 10 years instead of going back and looking at 15 years. But in that regards, the first page of the work history report will have you list the jobs that you've done for the last 15 years. And they'll want the type of business and the dates that you worked there. And then when you go over, you'll have to fill out the second page of that. It'll have the job title, and they'll have you list each job. And they kind of want to know what you did on that job. So they're looking to see, what your activities involved as far as, were you using machines and tools? How much did you lift? What did you do all day on that job? They want to know, did you supervise people? Were you a lead worker? Did you hire and fire? And whenever it gets down to the parts of the supervision on these, I always question people. It's okay if you supervise people or a lead worker, you just made sure that the work was done. But if you did the hiring and firing, if you recommended that someone be hired and fired, then you weren't actually the person hiring and firing. If it had to go up the ladder to someone else. And so always keep that in mind when you mark that on there. You can always, when we get down to the point that a judge reviews the case, you can say, well, I could recommend, but then someone else ultimately, human resource or someone else, made that decision. Often jobs aren't cut and dry and done one way. Sometimes people have multiple duties on a job. And with that, you need to list that. And we have nowadays what we call composite work. And sometimes composite jobs are important when we're looking at a person's age or education, and particularly if they're over 50 or 55 years old, those can be very important. If a part of your job requires you to do heavy lifting, then that's what you would go with. And that's under the regulations, they're supposed to take that lifting amount into consideration if it's a composite job. And so, for instance, let's say you have someone that works in an office. They do reception, they do filing, they may, call on patients or clients or customers, all of those things. They may, part of the day, sit when they have certain duties. They may have to stand and walk. They may have to climb ladders. You need to put all that down there. If you just wrote down that you were an office worker or a receptionist, something of that nature, that doesn't necessarily encompass all that you did on that job. And so take your time and fill this out and make sure that they're aware of all the components of the work that you did. Often people, I think, don't always address the full amount that they lift on a job. Really think about that. If you had to carry supplies, if you had to, if you're a salesperson and you have to carry things out, take them to the car, if you travel, having to carry luggage, all those are components of work and things that you have to do, and consider that when you're looking at filling it out. By and large, these are pretty straightforward. But again, if you have various duties on your jobs, make sure you list those. When you get down to the supervisory part of it, again, if you are a lead worker, make sure that they're very aware that you're a lead worker. If you are not just the final person that made the decision to let someone go. If you have any questions with these forms, please feel free to call us, text us, email us, and we'll help you out any way we can. Thank you.